Hi, my name is Carol Brown Earl, and I am from Bristol, Virginia. This story is actually a little more detailed, but it tells about how I came to where I am today. And I kind of start at the very beginning. So sit back, have a smoke, have a drink, get the icy Coke, whatever. So anyway, because to start with, I want to tell you a little story about two little girls, Gail and Kai. You see, Gail was the older sister by about 2.5 years, and Kai was the youngest one. They had what was considered a really bright future as they were living in an upper class world. And so, I mean, their future was bright. So Dad was also the mayor of the town they were growing up, and that was in Wayne, New Jersey. Um, he was mayor all through their years in grammar school. And like normal kids, they loved jumping on beds and furniture and, doing things that, mom and dad shouldn't know about. So as long as they didn't seem it was okay, right? The typical things most preschoolers love to do. But one day the world turned upside down for the younger child, Kai. Um, Jumping on the bed almost became a fatal accident for the younger one, Kai. See, one day, and no one knows how much time had gone by, but Kai's mom happened to pass by their bedroom door, and she noticed that she was laying on the floor, not moving. Her sister had pushed her off the bed, is apparently what had happened, and no one knew where she had gone to for a while. But anyway, the results of it really weren't known for decades yet to come. But meanwhile, what happened is her mom picked her up, got a cold washcloth from the bathroom, proceeded to the living room where she and her mom had been reading magazines. Um, and once her mom had sat down on the couch or picked up her magazine, her mom was right next to her. She just yelled, "Oh my God, Kai's blue." That her mom looked down and immediately screamed and, yelled for her husband, Kai's dad. And he came rushing in to see what was wrong. When he saw what was going on, he grabbed Kai from her arms and ran to the bedroom where he began CPR. And during that time, Kai's mom, called the ambulance, which of course took them several minutes to get there. But once they showed up and the ambulance workers got out their oxygen mask for Kai and began to put it on her little face, apparently her eyes were open all the time, but she seemed to immediately take in a big breath of, fresh air. So from that day on, apparently Kai was watched over, all her life. No one knew for sure if there would be severe brain damage due to the lack of oxygen for such a long time or what. But a very strong bond had been set between Kai and her dad. He was really her hero from then on, vice versa too. The next part of the story is about Gail. She had her own trauma going on, to no one's knowledge. You see, back in the day, women did not partake in abortion, and her mom and dad, Kai's mom and dad too, were having a conversation about what to do about the baby. Gail happened to be listening to this conversation. The conversation was about aborting the baby, although they used the term get rid of the baby. As her mom just didn't want their mom didn't want another baby, so she could get rid of it through therapeutic procedures in those times, and no one would know the difference. But of course, Gail didn't understand what they were talking about. She just knew that a baby was going to be gotten rid of. The issue, yeah, like I said, the issue here, yeah, it's just all about getting rid of one of the babies. Um, this started years and years of horror for Kai. Gail would chase her around the house with knives, inside and out of the house with knives. It was a very, very bad situation. This went on daily. Um, Even their mom had a neighbor tell her what she saw, and yet the mom would not believe it. Not until Kai was in her late 20s, her mom actually owned up to knowing about the situation. At least for Kai, the nightmares of waking up screaming finally stopped. Their mom and dad eventually divorced. Mom had to go to work, and both Gail and Kai would be left to their own defenses every day after school, and it wasn't a pretty picture. For the next 10 years, I lived in fear of my life. My sister wanted me dead, and she had made no bones about it, trying to make that happen. This is why even today I have such fear of anything sharp that could cut me. For Gail could constantly chase me with knives every day of my childhood. I don't know. I learned at a very small age how to survive, and I just can't stand anything sharp because of it. And yes, I'm Kai. I was born in 1953, left home in 1971, my junior year of high school. So what happened basically next is I moved to Columbia in 1971. My mom lost her house. Her husband had passed and hadn't paid the taxes on the house. So I spent my last year in school, already know a soul. Lots happened in the next 10 years. That's another story within itself. But I married when I was 21. I had two little girls. Went briefly to college in 75, and I studied political science. Boy, I love political science. It's in my blood. But we were separated in 76, later only to divorce. I was remarried in 1981, had two more little girls. My first two children were kidnapped in 83, where I spent 24 hours in hell, only to think that they might be decapitated and laying in a ditch somewhere. Finally, a police officer found them. Their father had come from California. I was in Illinois to grab my two little girls. I had no money to fight a custody battle across the country. So the short story here is they remained in California with their father and stepmother, only to be told that I had abandoned them. To this day, I'm still fighting this pathetic lie and trying to change their attitudes and understand what really happened. The next decade and a half or so was okay. I was living a fairly normal life and raising two little girls that I'd had with my second husband and looking after my husband. So we lived in so many places. The companies that my husband worked for was always sending us to a new location to fix other branch offices. He just did such a superb job, and he just kept moving us and moving us. So actually, to date, I've moved 37 times in my life. Approximately 1987, I started a part-time job with a fundraising company. I set up so many daycares with the tools they needed to raise money for their centers, to help buy equipment, beds, blankets, food, things of that sort. I was very successful with this. And I came to know later on down the road, after I'd left and happened to go back to Nashville one day, that I was known as the daycare queen of Nashville because I had so many of all those daycares sewed up and doing their fundraising business with me. So in 1989, my husband finally quit his job to put me on the road with fundraising full time. I was making more money than he was making in a week. I was making in only 2 days a week. So we opened our own fundraising company, and we were very successful. I put all the other national fundraising companies out of business in our neck of the woods, as all the schools we helped loved the mom and pop on hand we gave our customers, and life was fairly good. I also discovered in '89 or so that my God-given talent, and that was that I could take photos of anything and make them look like $1,000,000. I loved shooting. I went on to become a professional journalist. I even worked for Bristol Motor Speedway for 3 years shooting cars. Oh, that was so awesome. That was my true love, shooting fast moving cars. And it actually led for me to become their track photographer on the drag strip at Thunder Valley. And oh man, I loved that. It just outside being able to work and shoot and have fun, it was heaven sent. But by 2000, 2001, things started to go downhill with my marriage a bit. We separated for a couple of years, and during that time, my husband had a fatal heart attack. I'll tell you, there's nothing like a life-threatening event to pull you back to reality. Had he lived, we would have picked up the pieces and put our lives back together. Well, that never happened. He passed, and well, that was about that. So afterwards, through various moves and trying to put my life back together, I wound up moving to Maryville, Tennessee. My daughter was living there, and she had me move in with her. This was in 2006, around August or so. A little bit about her. She became pregnant when she was underage, 16 or so. It was a huge toll on all of us. It also carried its own story, but I won't go into that. It was just, it's hard dealing with a teenager with that sort of issue without her dad around. But I had no idea what I was going to do. I had spent so many years in sales and various jobs, short list, photographer in sales for racers and mobile homes, newspapers, CBS, commercial needs. I had a knack for outproducing anyone at any job I did. What to do with that talent now? Oh, I had no idea. So I started looking through the newspaper and I saw a job for a taxi driver at the local airport, McGee Tyson. And I always loved to drive. When I was a kid, I used to sit in school and look out the window, and just think, oh, I would just rather be out there driving everywhere, right? So, so I applied for that and I got the job, which I was amazed over to begin with. It was actually very exciting. I loved the people I met. I made an excellent income with it. But about a month into this, I met a man there who also had worked for, let's call it corporate America, and was also taking a break to stop that is in his life as well. And we hit it off pretty big. Um, it was in two, somewhere in 2007, we actually started and we were married in 2007 too. Who's my third, my best. But from working at the airport, we began picking up people that were always going from the airport to the bus station. What are they doing? Who are these people, right? And they're just everyday people, in jeans, t-shirts, or whatever. So we started, talking to them more. We found out that they were what's called professional drivers. They were picking up all kinds of trucks, tractors, bobtails, utility trucks, Class A motorhomes, cement trucks, garbage trucks. Oh, the list goes on and on. And then they pick them up from manufacturers, and then they drive them to the distributors who sell them because you can't. That's the only way to get them from the factory to the distributors is they have to be driven. So we wanted in, so we got our CDL and we hit the roads, and it was wonderful. I loved what I was doing. We got to see so many sites all across the country. I got photos from amazing places. And now I have an arsenal of photography from across America. We delivered in all the states, well, except Hawaii and Alaska. But we even went to Canada like 8 times. We slept through the days and drove at night. We'd be on the road 3 weeks and come home for 1. This went on for 8 years. In 2014, my husband started to get sick. This was shortly after my dad passed, January 1st of 2014, which was a huge loss for me. My dad and I were so close, but that's another story for another time too. And I also lost a sister in January 2014. She apparently, what she did, she had a bite from a brown recluse. And she tried to care for herself. Well, she failed. That too is another story for another time. But as my husband began to get weaker, he spent the entire summer, most of fall, going back and forth to Vanderbilt Hospital in Nashville. We were trying to get him a new heart. He had congestive heart failure, but the end result was no. His circulatory system was also compromised, so we tried to have it fixed. And by the time we got this done in December 2014, it all backfired. And he passed December 30th of 2014. So from the very first of the year to the end of the year, I lost my father, a sister, and my husband. Come 2015, I was just so totally lost. My grandparents were now gone. My mom and dad were gone. My one full-blooded sister was gone. No more aunts or uncles. Nobody. Well, there is an aunt out there somewhere, but I don't know where. So basically, I'm mid on the feeding chain. I try to take it humorously. So But anyway, I have really no family to turn to. My dad and my husband were my rocks and were always there to help me, whether just be talk or to help with a problem. They were just always there. I always had somebody to turn to with an issue or a problem I couldn't sort out for myself. My kids, 4 girls and 11 grandchildren, were spread all over the country and still are, and I wasn't close to any of them. I lived life for whatever work I was committed to at the time. By the end of February, I found myself in the hospital for 5 days. Dang near had a breakdown. My church was my sole support. I thank Heavenly Father for them. So March 2015, I went on the best that I could, still so unsure of where I was going and even how to get to wherever it was I was going. I wound up having a few of these little mini strokes. This was bad and good. So after so much time um, of unstableness in my life, I found out why I'd always had such a hard time dealing with the world um, in general, and making decisions and trying to, just put things together. You see, my family, my mom, dad, aunts, uncles, etc., all of them, they all had like superior intellects. And I was wondering what was wrong with me. Why do I have such a hard time thinking? Um, why does it take me so much time to get information into my thick head and make a decision? Well, I finally found out. And that accident that I had when I was a kid, the one where my sister, you know, tried to kill me, pushed me off the bed, and I went without oxygen. Well, it had caused what's called ischemia. And I had it in my brain. And that's where little tiny small blood vessels had collapsed in my brain. It was the root of all evil in my thought process. I'd had this test on it one time that said I had issues, with the reading, writing, communication, getting things in, getting things out, but that my intellect was superior to even those graduates of doctoral degrees. I was like, okay, I'm not dumb after all. Now I knew what the problem was. So, with my new lease on life, I set out to change my world. Finally, I now know how my head works and what I need to do to get information in and use it to my benefit. Sure, it still takes me a long time, more than others to absorb information and implement it. Once I do, oh my gosh, look out. Once I grab all I need to know about a particular topic, there's just no stopping me. The universe is my playfield. I can do just about anything. So where I am today is, so my last home, I had lived in Dayton, Tennessee, where my husband and I had bought our retirement home. It was beautiful. We had like 5.5 acres. We built a 2 acre pond in the back and had fish in it. And we could go fishing. We had horses. I mean, everything. It was wonderful, but I couldn't take care of it. Not on my little bitty income. So anyway, I moved back to the Bristol area where I had raised my first 2 kids. Well, actually, my second 2 kids. And I moved back to Bristol. I spent about 2.5 months in a hotel trying to look for a home. Finally found a home and moved in September 2017. Purchased it on November 1st, 2017. I had dabbled with my internet, when I was at home between 2015, 2017. But, it was just too much garbage going on at that time. So I got back to my internet full time instead of dabbling in January 2018. And I started implementing all the proper tools, necessary actions to be successful online. I had spent like over $8,000, by the time my husband had died in 2017. And it was crazy. Nothing was working. But I finally figured out and found out how to do it. So today, my future is bright. I feel whole for the first time in my life. And I'm actually starting to finally make some money online. I have found the right place to be, to meet the rest of my goals, life, and the one big goal in my life has been to finally have a good, solid relation with not only my children, but with my grandchildren as well. And you know what? Finally, for the first time in my life, I am on my way. I'll be able to see them whenever I want. I'll be able to leave them something so their lives will be solid and they'll be free to live their lives as well. I'll have a relationship with my kids and my grandkids because I'll be able to go and see them whenever I want. It's not like they're next door, they're all over the country. So, this is going to be my lifetime gift back to them. So, now, just to let you know how I start every day, when I get up, the first thing I do, what everyone should do, is take care of you. Do whatever you need to do to get yourself ready for the day, make yourself feel good, read, exercise, whatever it is you do. And then I recite this one thing 20 times every day. And in doing this, what it does, it may sound actually kind of corny right now, but what it does is your mind is such a powerful tool. And what it does is it affects your subconscious and it just kind of changes the way your mind works and how you feel and enables you to reach those dreams and for them to come true. Every single thing we see, we touch, we know that's out there. Think about it. Somebody, somewhere, before it existed, that idea was in their head. They want to make a difference. So, to get it dish in my mind, I always say this 20 times a day. Money comes easily and frequently to me. Every single day, I receive huge amounts of money. I love money, and money loves me. I'm a money magnet. I'm a money magnet. And then I go to work. And that's my story. God bless to you all, and I hope you have a wonderful day and a wonderful lifetime. Thank you for listening. God bless.